Namaste and in catch, and welcome to this episode of One World in a New World. And as usual, I'm your host, Zen Benefiel. And I would also love for you to like, subscribe, make a comment as you're listening, whatever comes to mind. Please share it. I will respond, and maybe our guest will too. And while you're at it, I'd like to invite you to visit PlanetaryCitizens.net, who is our sponsor. It's a nonprofit that I co-founded in 2023 to turn Donald Key's original vision of a borderless planet into a potential reality in our lifetimes. And I think it's possible. Maybe you do too. So stop in, show your support, and there's some free downloads of books on the homepage as well, and I know you'll love them. Thanks so much in advance. Now, this week's episode features Colin Smith, who I have known for probably 5 years in the association we've had on Biz Catalyst and the Friendship Bench, which is a wonderful place to come and enjoy others of like mind and like heart in an open, psychologically safe environment to be expressive and to listen. Speaking of listening, so Colin he's known as the listener. He says that in a world full of noise, listening matters. Most people don't need more information. They need space. Ah, the final frontier. To feel heard, to think, to reconnect with themselves, to simply be. And for many years, he thought his work was about listening. Now, he sees that listening is simply the doorway. Beyond it lies clarity, connection, belonging, and understanding, and sometimes the quiet realization of what has been there all along. Colin's the owner of Dexterity Solutions Limited. He founded it with a vision to transform how individuals and organizations connect and collaborate. His mission was to bridge gaps, not bring them, foster innovation, and give meaningful change by connecting people who make a difference. And he's one of them. I know you'll enjoy this apocalyptic chat to come. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Colin, it is so great to have you here. It's been a long time coming. I love you, brother. Thanks for showing up.
Thank you. And thank you for the kind invitation, an opportunity to be here with you. And I think
As
that's
Baba
really,
says, right? Be here now, right?
yeah. And that is so important. Be here now.
Exactly. Not do here now,
Right.
be here now.
Yes.
So as you know, maybe our audience doesn't yet, we explore the depths of how folks got in touch with their inner awareness, their interconnectedness, whatever time of life it occurred, and what transpired as a result, and how they made the practical wisdom they garnered into applications and capacity to share in their life, relationships, and work.
Mhm.
So thinking about that, do we need to think, right? It's a sense thing. Where
Mm.
did you start? I know you've got some depth, and there had to have been some early experiences of that interconnectedness that kind of made you stop and, pause and take notice? What were those and what were they like?
So if I think back, I started working in 1970, so quite a long time ago,
Mhm.
and it was in computers, and it was very much about how essentially how computers work and
Right.
how they
That sure
communicate.
makes you think.
Absolutely. And in those days, being involved with computers was looked up at. It's like, oh
Sure.
my gosh, you're a computer person.
Right.
Nowadays, we've all got them. And then I joined a consultancy, and very much that work was about how people worked and how they connected. And then in 2014, I think it was, literally with someone for coffee, and she just said, and so lovely that she said it, you do know you're very good at listening. And I was, first of all, shocked and surprised. And then it started to make sense.
Right.
It wasn't that um, I've just become something like that. I've always been doing it, or certainly
Right.
for a long time.
And
Uh,
isn't it interesting how we don't think about ourselves, right? Because we're not looking in the mirror all the time and trying to
yeah,
analyze. And some of us self-examine a lot, others not so much. And yet, like you, I had a guy tell me this has only been just a few months ago. He called me a systems feeler.
a systems feeler.
Yeah.
So you sense into the system or systems.
And it was perfect. I've been an empath since a kid because
Mm,
I've been so self-examining and never been aware. I've been aware at how I do sense things and feel what needs to happen and ask questions that lead to it
yeah.
rather than just, spew it. I did that for a while, didn't work. But the listening that, how did that in the time after that, what were the things that you became more aware of in tracking your history and the reality that that was true?
So first of all, there was the reflecting on the past, and I'd done very well in a customer service role. I did okay in a sales role, which a lot of that is about listening.
Hmm.
And where I got the most success was to be able to go into meetings with my friend or the person who owned the company, and he would sit and listen to the answers they gave to all my questions. And then he'd say, so if I understand you correctly, this is what you looking for. And they'd go, yeah, wow. And so it was a very good double act. So I was
Right,
doing
right, right.
my bit well, he was doing his bit well. And so as I started to join all the pieces together, one thing the listener came out of that meeting that I had with this lady over coffee, because we looked at the idea of the listening coach, and the listening coach had a fix it in it. For me, it was like, no, that's fixing. If you're the listening coach, you're fixing.
Right.
Whereas the listener, yeah, I like that. And it's stuck. And sometimes I'm introduced literally as the listener. I see we've got the listener here. And sometimes Dennis will do it. He did it
Oh
yesterday.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, he said,
Quite
oh my gosh,
often.
if Colin's here, I've got to listen better, which is
Dennis
lovely.
being the founder of this friendship bench. I forget the guy's name that he actually got the idea from, but it started in Africa many
Yeah,
years prior. He
literally a
just
bench.
capitalized on, hey, we can do this here too. And isn't duplication the most sincere form of flattery?
Yeah. In fact, um, I'm not sure she's been on. I've been to about half a dozen times where I've gone into London with
Hmm.
one or two others. And we have a little sign up which says free listening. You speak, I listen. And people come and have a chat. It's unusual. We're not trying to get anything. We're literally in the moment with them. And the
Right.
one I did recently, the lady I was with, a man came to her and said, I'm so glad you're here. I lost my wife about 6 weeks ago, but the trip was planned, so I came down from Scotland to London.
Hmm.
And to be honest, I'm not really enjoying it. And he talked to her for about 10 minutes and then he went. And for me, that made it all worthwhile. We've
Sure.
touched. Somebody has felt seen, somebody has felt heard.
Right.
And
Now, what do you
so,
find, if I may interrupt for a
sure,
moment,
sure.
um, what do you find occurs when others are able to speak without being, and without being interrupted and heard?
Yeah,
And what do you feel goes on inside of them as they're speaking?
great question. So what I sense happens is we're nobody ever has a speaker's block that we don't know what to talk about. And more often than not, the words that come out of our mouth are often unthought through. So
Hmm.
it comes out. And whatever the situation is, there's often lots of other distractions going on for them. Is this person safe? Etc., etc., etc.
Right, right,
One
right.
of them is I know at some stage during what I'm saying, they're going to interrupt me because everybody does.
Right.
When they don't, so we talk in waves of thinking and pauses,
Hmm.
wave and pause. And typically what happens is as a person is doing their thinking and they're sharing, and as they're coming down the other side, the person who's listening to them, which I refer to as hearing them, is already going, right, they're about to finish. So I'm going to start rehearsing what I'm going to say. So they've already now stopped listening for this piece. And the moment they go, and they're still thinking, because you can see it in their eyes,
Well, sure.
they interrupt with what they're going to say. And so what happens is that thinking gets stopped. And then they come to,
Anticipating an interruption.
yeah, because, well, A, they've been anticipating it. B, they're used to being stopped at that pause.
Right.
So we're kind of expecting it. So we have this heightened awareness. But when you've gone through one wave of thinking and a pause, and I'm still with you, and I'm not saying anything, but I'm present, and it feels as though you are being heard, you carry on.
Hmm.
And then you do another wave of thinking, and then you pause. And notice then that not only does your biological system, if you like, start to calm down, you also get a feeling that this person is interested in me.
Right.
What I'm saying matters. And so we go on again. And sometimes they pause and they go, yeah, yeah. And I might ask that question, which is, and what more?
Right.
Or,
Kind of
and
an
what
active
more?
listening, right? It rather than reflecting what you just thought you heard them say, which is that interruption.
Yep.
Perhaps
I'm encouraged.
maybe a
Yeah.
wrong word to use, right? You continue to just be.
Yes. And sometimes they need the question. And the research shows that when you've asked that question, it doesn't interrupt their thinking, it carries it on.
Hmm.
And then what I notice happens is they're starting to drop deeper into their thinking. It's become safer. You're interested. I'm more and more comfortable. I feel more and more safe. They sometimes lean, they say, I've never told this to anyone. And it comes out. And yeah, sure, we can express. Some people are very comfortable with no expression from me. So
Hmm.
neutral, very neutral.
Right.
Others need something to respond to, even if it's a nod,
Yeah.
an acknowledgement. You're still here,
Micro expressions.
right? You're still here with me, which is what people want.
Right.
And the weird part is if we were in a discussion and you spoke, let's say, Catalan fluently, right? I don't know one word of Catalan. You could talk to me and I would listen to you, knowing that I wouldn't understand a word of it, but you would feel heard. And that is so rare for
It
people.
is. It is. Let me ask you a couple of deeper questions
Sure.
here. One that I noticed, I had a rite of passage, a spiritual awakening is what the psychiatrist called. He was actually a neurologist, or I believe. I thought for years he was a psychiatrist until recently. I looked him up again. He said, "Oh, he was actually a neurologist." But my parents sent me to him, and what a godsend. He listened to me for 3 sessions and then finally said, you got all the classic signs of a spiritual awakening. Why so young, I don't know. But my advice to you, don't talk about it to others because they're not going to understand you. Now, in that process, I also noticed that as I spoke to him, I was processing my own thinking in the listening to myself.
Yeah.
And I came to be aware that I think in counseling, it's not just the questions that the counselor asks, it's your responses to them that gives you a second or third tier of assessment of
Yep.
what you're actually saying and self-assessment, self-examination, Um, some do, some don't, you know. And then first of all, do you notice that in others as they're progressing through those waves?
Yes, I noticed. So this is very much in the three questions I often ask is when was the last time you felt really heard? When
Hmm.
was the last time somebody said to you, what do you think? And the third question is, when was the last time you were able to simply be? So if you take the second one, which is thinking, what, and I've been both the the facilitator of it and also a participant. So I've
Sure.
seen it from both sides.
Well,
And
you kind of both, right? It's like even
right,
with coaching and consulting, you're doing it for yourself as much as others.
yeah. And so what I notice happening is they start to make sense of their own thinking. And that's the quality of this pausing, sorry, waves and
Right.
pauses, is they go deeper and they start to solve their own thinking, their own problems.
Sure.
There was a gentleman I met one evening. He was in the same, he was part of the speaking program the next day, along with me. So this was, if you like, the presenters. And we were just chatting and he said, what do you do? And I said, he said, I'm very good at fixing. He said, whenever my wife comes to me with a problem, I'm in there fixing. And I said,
Typical guy thing, right?
typical guy thing. So I said, when she rings you in the morning and if she's asking you a question, don't say anything. Just listen. And he went, really? I said, don't fix. You will try and fix. Don't. And he went, oh, okay. Anyway, about that later that morning, he came to me. He said, oh my gosh, that was extraordinary. He said, she did. We had a little chat and then she asked me a question. And I said, what do you think? And then she talked for about 10 minutes about the problem. And then she went, thanks, Mark. I know the answer now. Thanks for listening. And he said, I didn't do anything. And that's the reality. And that's perhaps the biggest stumbling point is that people think that listening is, we don't have to do anything. You have to intend to listen,
Right.
right?
Right.
You and I could be deep in a conversation in a coffee shop. Someone says, hey, Zen. You'll look at me and you go, did somebody call my name? And I go, no idea, but you heard it. I
Hmm.
didn't, right? It's not important to me in that
Yeah, well,
respect, right?
we're accustomed to being
Consumed.
triggered when we're called,
Well,
right?
it keeps us safe,
Yeah, yeah,
right? But you have to intend to listen,
sure.
right? So in this moment, you and I are in this lovely little bubble you're in my room, I'm in your room,
Hmm.
and you're the most important person in my life at this moment. Now, clearly you're not,
Well,
but
but that's being present.
this moment you are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when that happens, we feel it. We may not know, you know what it's like, right? You pick that up. But for others, they go, it's just it's just lovely talking to him or sharing with him or whatever they want to call
Mhm.
it. Because
Yeah,
it's
you
rare.
also mentioned something, as especially with the example of the wife and husband, right? Whereas if you intend to listen, you're there, and it goes back to ancient philosophy. You got all the answers inside of you already. You just need to uncover them. It's a kind of
Yes.
an apocalypse, right?
Yeah.
Where you're
Agreed.
uncovering what you
Yes.
already know, and you
Yeah.
have the direct connect to those answers, but you got to be in a space that's quiet enough for it to occur where you feel safe, secure, and being heard.
Yeah. All of those.
Right.
Because
I love that Trinity, right? The effect. And it's true.
yes.
We all have that direct connect that we don't use.
Right. So imagine you're sitting down with someone, and when they say, "Hey, so Zen, tell us a little bit about your backstory," right? And because you know this story, so you start to talk about it. And I'm now playing a role, right? Right. Might pick my phone up. You're just chatting away. But what happens is your energy is dropping. Your ability to think clearly is dropping. And you're thinking, what's going
Why
on?
isn't
What?
they, why aren't they listening to me?
What? Right.
They asked the
And
question,
right.
right?
And
Why aren't they
typically
listening?
we blame it on ourselves. We go,
Right.
I'm obviously not good enough, this enough, interesting enough, whatever.
Well, that's the
I
first thing, those
yes.
70,000 thoughts a day that we were talking about Melissa Hughes and her neuro
Yep.
research, right?
Yep.
I would say, I don't know what the percentage is, but I would say far the majority are all self-deprecating, usually.
Yeah. Yes. So it must be me. So we start to stumble over our words. Our
Hmm.
thinking collapses because this doesn't feel safe. We got early, the warning signs are
Right.
going.
Warning, warning, warning,
Right.
Will Robinson,
And
right?
somebody said, I start talking stupid. Now, you switch that around and you give people the chance. They become the most eloquent people of all. And they tell interesting stories. Whoever you are, you've got an interesting
Everybody has
story.
an interesting story.
If you bother to listen,
Right.
and we don't.
Now, let's step back a little bit further. And in your early life, were there instances where oh, I've got another question that I forgot to ask. We'll go back to that. In your early life, were there indications that you were listening or sensing at deeper levels than others? I realize that you probably didn't recognize it in the moment, but as you look back, if we could step back in the Wayback Machine and ask Sherman and Peabody to join us, then what was that like? But did you feel, sense, think, just become aware?
You're absolutely right. In the past, I didn't recognize it.
Hmm.
Looking back, there's many instances where I remember sitting with someone with a technical person alongside, and I just asked. I was genuinely interested in the
Hmm.
work they were doing. And at the end of it, they must have talked for the best part of an hour. And at the end of it, we left and she and I sat down for a drink afterwards to sort of like talk it through. And
Hmm.
she said, I don't know how you did that. I genuinely don't know how you did that because she said, I'm absolutely exhausted. And it was like, oh, I didn't find that a problem.
Yeah.
Right. And similarly, when I became a Samaritan, I don't know if you know the Samaritan not business, the work it does, particularly here,
Right.
which is where
It's another charity organization,
the
basically,
charity
philanthropic.
organization, and the
Yeah.
idea was about this is when it was formed in 53, I think, was to be a place where people could call if they were suicidal.
Mm.
And I trained for that, and then I was a Samaritan for about 2 years. And you literally had to be fully present with whoever was there,
Sure.
and you never knew what was going to
Right.
come.
Now, do you
And
have problems taking that energy on as well?
that's such an interesting question, because when I arrived at the center, we had to go through a gate to park your car. And it
Hmm.
was like I left myself there, went into the center, had the experience, and I was present with them, but I wasn't taking it on. I didn't take their energy on. And one of the lovely things about the Samaritan organization is they really do look after their volunteers.
Sure.
So at the end of each shift of 2 hours, I think it was, you have a call with someone who's not on the shift, and they ask about the calls that you've had, calls you've
Hmm.
received, and making sure that you are okay.
Sure.
And
And
if
you're
you've had
not
a
taking it on because our tendency, especially compassionate people, we
correct,
want to take it on and solve it,
correct,
right?
yes,
Man or woman, I think we have the
correct.
tendency to do
And
that.
so I I'm blessed by being able to be empathic and compassionate, but
Mhm.
not take it on.
Right.
And the nearest I had where I it did shake me a bit was receiving news about something is particularly sorry something specific to my son, and I felt I was connected to it. Not it wasn't a problem with me, but it was something he was going through,
Hmm.
and then I was moved. But it took me a couple of days to adjust to it. But
Sure.
normally I can sit with them, somebody that's called the Samaritans, and not need to take it on. Or
Hmm.
no, I don't take it on. I feel it, sense it, pick it up, be supportive and all those things. But
Let it
when
pass through.
yes, when I leave the center, I leave that behind.
It's interesting. The reference for this, I'll take it a little deeper if I may. Um, in metaphysics, right? And the practicing of metaphysical arts, there's the black arts and the white arts, right?
Yeah,
And what I found, I never believed in psychic attacks. And because this is the same energy, it's just directed, right?
yeah,
Until I had one. And as long as I resisted, was angry, I never was afraid, it persisted, right? It wasn't until you become transparent, invisible, if you will, like you were and you're listening, where that
yeah.
energy just passes through. And I would say actually is mirrored back to the sender from what my experience is. Now,
Right.
the other thing, and I'm just offering that for those of you who like weird shit, right? So, and maybe someone is having that issue right now, and that's what you need to do, or at least experiment and try it, see if it works.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing I wanted to ask is, as a kid, do you spend a lot of time in nature, and what did you learn in that? Because I suspect that that's where the listening really began.
What I'm wondering, because I've not thought about that question until now, so thank you,
You're welcome.
was as I got older, not so much in my early childhood, but as I got older and started working the late teens, was being curious
Hmm.
about things, how they worked. And I think if I was to look at that, to answer your question, I'd say it was because of the curiosity I had and not needing to, I think there's a part of it, not needing to talk myself. So
Hmm.
there's an introvert part of me as well.
So nature really didn't have much to do with
I,
it. The reason I ask is that, some of us, I was fortunate. I had a woods half-mile away that
I
I spent
don't
copious amount
think
of
so.
times in, curiously, wondering,
Yeah,
exploring.
yes. I like doing that. My dad took us out a lot, so I remember sort of being in different places and can remember some of those places as well.
Hmm.
But it nothing, even now I look back on it, I still wonder what it was. And it might well have been the curiosity. And
Sure.
so part of curiosity is about listening.
Well, it'd be interesting to see what the follow-up is over the next few days as to
Yes,
what
that's what I
comes
was thinking.
back and just out of the blue. It's like, oh, right, I
That's
remember
what
that.
it was. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you've
yeah, yeah.
kicked
And that
something.
happens.
Yeah,
You know that I know that because that's part of life. It's just it's like I was talking earlier about the interview I got with Jeffrey Mishlove and setting the intent, asking for it, and letting it go,
yeah.
and it
And
happens.
there is something. So I've used, not wrong to say I've used it. I've had this experience where I've gone into a coffee shop,
It's never wrong.
right? I've gone into a coffee shop, and
Yeah.
because I've been
Sorry, that just
genuine,
came from the, that
you have to say
that's the
it, don't
love
you?
I have for you.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
You have to go in. You go into the coffee shop, and you engage with the barista and have a conversation with them.
Hmm.
And again, like we've said, suddenly I'm in this beautiful engagement with this person for only a short period of time, and they say, "Thank you. Have the coffee on the house," or "Would you like a cake?" But the moment I think about going into a coffee shop and going, "Hey, I wonder if I'll get a coffee today," never happens,
Yeah.
right? It happened literally, it happened today, so that's why it's on the front of mind. I'd gone in there, never even entered my head that the conversation would result in a coffee because I didn't think that they would do that. So
Sure.
it never entered my head. I had a
Sure. Random acts
conversation.
of kindness, right? That's how they
Right.
happen.
Suddenly, I had two coffees, and he said, "Have them on the house." Wow, thank you. Wasn't expected. The moment you
Mm.
think about it, it goes away.
Right.
So those are the things where we're
Now back to the
genuinely,
thinking. That prompts
authentically
the old
doing it.
question again. Back to when you're hearing this, what was the language that you spoke of that the guy shows up and he's talking to you and you don't understand a word he
Oh, it was
says?
Catalan, Catalan.
Okay. So in
And it's
that,
a true story.
I'm sure it was. You're not one to make shit up. Uh,
Yeah, that's true.
so in that, could you sense kind of what he was saying, even though you couldn't understand the words?
Yes, you can. Sorry, yes, I can. And
I'm
it,
another you, so that's fine.
yeah, it, it felt this was a serious topic. He was quite animated, being Spanish, then that explains it as well.
Hmm.
But it was serious. It was in, yeah, intent. Yeah, intense, not intent, intense.
Right.
And and that was about it. He did explain to me a bit about it afterwards, but he was able to just let it all go. And in letting it all go into a space, he was able to get the answer that he wanted.
Hmm.
Because the point you made is we all carry the answers if we
Right.
bother to listen, right?
Right.
And as he's saying it,
When talking to herself in public, that just is weird. Right.
yeah. But he thanked me for my listening because he said, I felt I was being heard. So he got this connection.
Hmm.
And then he was just talking away about what he wanted to talk about. And then every time he returned to me, I was still there. Because
Sure.
often we go away to think. And when he
Yeah.
comes back,
Yeah. Now,
still
do you
there.
notice also that in that process, we're aware, and I'm sure you are, that communication, what words are 7%, maybe as much as 15%, but the most of the communication that we offer is in body language.
Yes, although that particular, this is what I now believe about that particular
Hmm.
study, it's been taken out of context. So if you have a look at that particular, where people talk about 7% and 15 and most of it, I'm not
Yeah,
saying
they
that
say 85% is
but
nonverbal.
it's taken completely out of context as to what the study was actually about. But
Hmm.
there is, I think, if
Don't
I
we do that a lot, right? There's liars, damn liars, and statisticians.
exactly, but if you have a look it up and you go, oh, because people use it, as I did for a long time until I
Sure.
found out. But I
We
think
just had an apocalyptic moment.
that's true. But I think that when you're when you're truly with someone, as we are now,
Hmm.
then you're picking up things from we are picking things up from each other that are not the words. And so some of my actions, some of your actions will either enable me to continue more so or less so, as I was
Hmm.
demonstrating earlier. If I'm
Right.
not looking interested,
Sure. And we've also got these internal triggers, the trigger words, right, that we carry
yep,
and don't recognize until we hear them and we make an assumption of what the other means because we have an interpretation of it and we lose that connection.
correct. So it could be the apocalyptic, right?
Yeah.
That's an
Easy for me to
apocalyptic.
say, right?
Yes, absolutely. But you said that was an apocalyptic moment, and I was thinking, really? Because you've explained to me the true meaning of it, not a problem. It's a positive. It's a compliment.
Mhm. Well, you
Not
discovered it yourself. You were talking about how you recognized that the study was in, I'll just say invalid, right? From
yes.
the perspective that we're talking about, because
Yep.
there's new information there. You just
Correct.
uncovered something and helped the viewers, our listeners, as well.
Yeah. Because it's often, no, very often cited. And they
Mhm.
also talk in that about I think it was Nixon and I'm thinking Kennedy maybe one. And if those that heard the radio broadcast favored one of them, those who saw the television version favored the other.
Mm,
Right? So
sure.
some people are not seeing the body language, some are seeing the body language, and they're
Right,
making different opinions of it
right.
or
And even
different
if we're
decisions.
just hearing the words, right, and it could be words, body language. There was what was this called? The Lucifer Principle that Howard Bloom wrote. And it's basically, he calls it a scientific study of history. And what he presents in there is that throughout history, either one or small groups of people have lied to the public through controlled media, whether it be a town crier or the
Right?
internet.
Yep.
And by doing so, it's eventually taken as truth.
True.
And entire
Yeah.
populations have been manipulated by
Yep.
that. Now,
Yep.
Lucifer
Agreed.
Principle came out, I want to say maybe in the 90s, and we had a perfect example of the outpicturing of that reality with COVID.
Yep. As we touched on earlier. Yes.
Right. So how does you feel that that ability to listen at a deeper level affects our awareness of truth?
So let's think. I'm thinking of I think it's very easy for people to be taken in by the words that we would like to that we like to think. Sorry, let's make it personal.
Or we
I
want to
could be taken.
believe.
We want to believe, and we would. Yes, we want to believe them. So we add it here, and everybody believed that the Prime Minister, which was Boris Johnson at the time, was doing the right thing, doing the best he could, etc.
Hmm.
When in looking back, he wasn't. There was lots of shenanigans going on, shall we say, in that. Um, but we all conformed. The question is, if we had that happening now, would we conform in the same way? Probably not.
Right.
So I
And
think
hindsight's 2020, right?
Yes, but I think we've got to the point where it's actually, you know what? I'm not trusting these people anymore. And if I was to look this at a bigger level, I would say that the whole planet is going through a complete awakening
Sure. Well, do we
by
really
what's going on.
question what we personally believe? Are we willing to put those beliefs on the chopping block and whack
Yeah.
away at them?
Yep.
Most of us aren't.
Correct. Let's just follow, what is it? Follow the crowd.
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always gets
And
us into trouble.
yeah. It's a bit like, well, I don't want to be one who stands out. I just want to be on, the same as everyone else.
Well, yeah, I
So
don't want to
you,
stand out.
right,
I become a target that way.
right. So,
Right?
so you go, okay,
That
so,
really feels uncomfortable.
so, so what you're really saying is you want to be average. You want to be ordinary. Well, A, why would you want to do that? And B, you're not.
No,
None of us
no,
are
we're all
average.
unique.
None of it. Exactly. Oh, yeah, but that feels, oh, yeah,
Right.
but if I'm
Well, if you're
that,
going to have a society, you all got to be the same. Well, that's the
exactly.
philosophy, right?
Yeah.
Where in reality, this whole thing about diversity and inclusion, right? It still hasn't reached the levels to where we accept that we're all unique and fit into the whole perfectly. We
Yes.
just don't see it yet.
Yes. There's, you and I are more alike than we're different,
Mm,
hugely. And could I love you? Yes, because you're a human being like me. Could
yeah.
I have a
Is that
conversation?
love based on nature and the reality that our core is from love,
Yeah,
right? What were we created in, right? And how
yeah,
that, God's not vengeful. That's us, right? We create those
correct.
situations.
That's the story we've told ourselves.
Right. And when
Right?
you talk about that love, Irvin Laszlo gets into it, it's coherence, right?
Yeah,
It's allowing that higher self, that connection that we have with
yeah,
whatever we want to call creators,
yes,
of which,
agreed.
you know, flow through us.
Yeah,
So how do we allow that to flow more freely? And you've mentioned and found that the listening is an important factor of that.
right. I believe that listening is a divine intervention.
Mm,
I'm not saying I'm God or anything like that,
no,
but
it just allows energy to flow unimpeded.
yes. And so I can receive it. And so the more I get out of the way of it
Hmm.
and be present, be, keep my energy vibration levels high, recognizing that this is a human being with a story, with a journey, etc., etc., and no different, no better, no worse than me or
Right.
anything. It's
And you can
just
feel the shift in
yes,
your own energy as that continues. You can sense it with your
yes,
being.
yeah.
Now, with that kind of awareness and capacity that we have, why do you think we continue to avoid it?
The story I'll tell you is a woman. I, I came up as I was walking somewhere. I came upon a woman, young woman, with a daughter hanging on to her with for dear life on inline skates. She's walking in inline skates, right, making a lot of noise, pretty precarious. And as I walked past, and I just nodded and carried on, I realised that Mum had no idea about skating. She was used. I'd have been more help to the
There's
daughter.
no flow there, right?
Yeah, because she doesn't know how to. So I said, no, stop walking in your skates. If you want to walk, take your skates off. But skating, push it forward, push it forward. And suddenly it's like, oh, this feels a lot easier. And I think the issue with listening is we don't have the experience of feeling heard to know what it's about. The moment I think and part of the work I do is to enable people to have the experience of feeling heard. And when they do, they're in a much better space to listen to another.
Hmm. Well, there's this new adage, if you will, of you got to slow down to go fast,
Yeah,
right? And this, what you are explaining, that when you have the ability to slow down and listen, more things connect,
yeah,
which allows that flow to happen. And especially if you're working on a project or um, any kind of personal endeavor,
yeah,
right? When you slow down and to pay attention, it's not just listening, it's paying attention,
yep, agreed. Yep,
right? And that awareness of the breadcrumbs that are showing up to facilitate what you're desiring actually begin to show up more
beautiful.
readily. They were
Yeah,
always there. You're just seeing them better.
yes. I'm running, so I don't see the breadcrumbs.
Right.
When I stop, or not stop, when I slow down, as you said, I notice, be attentive, pay attention.
Yeah. It's like stop and smell the roses. We never realize what that really means,
Right,
right?
yeah. And it suddenly it's like, oh my God, the breadcrumbs are everywhere. Now I
Yeah.
can see the line. They were there. And you look behind and they were there all the time.
Hmm.
And so I think there's a lot to be said for that, that we make so much noise, we just can't hear. We can't hear ourselves, for
Well, we're in
one.
our heads. We're those 70,000 thoughts a day,
We
right? The
can't hear,
self-deprecation, the distractions, thinking about this, that, and the other, instead of learning how to just be quiet inside, which is where the whole notion of meditation comes from.
yes, just be.
Yeah.
That's all
Now,
inviting. Be
how do
here
you
now.
find what are some of the practices that you use and offer to others that help them distill this process into actionable, practical things?
Um, One is, as you rightly say, is slowing down. It all comes from practice, right?
Mhm.
So it's like
It's
building
a
a muscle,
discipline.
right? It's a discipline, and there is a number of things that you can do each day, every day. And I wouldn't invite them to suddenly just try and do all of them because it, right?
Breadcrumbs.
But just
Breadcrumbs, remember.
breadcrumbs, right? So, so for example, one of them is, as I suggested to my friend, when your partner or whoever asks you a question because she's got a problem, just tell me a bit more. Ask a bit more. What do you think? And listen, right? Oh, okay. When somebody is speaking, wait 3, 5, 8 seconds or more. Notice if they're thinking. So, you know,
Or they're done.
or they're done, right?
Because
And so,
that pause is, a lot of times people are trying to put their own thoughts together, and we see that pause as an opportunity.
correct. And that's what's lovely about the friendship bench is that people get the chance to speak.
Hmm.
And even if there's a pause, usually 99 times out of 100, the facilitator won't jump in.
Right.
It's like, has Zen finished? Because sometimes oh, so what I'm really thinking was this.
Hmm.
And suddenly all of the other stuff was valuable, but this has become even more valuable. If you'd been chopped off, we'd never have got that. And that was the real gold.
Hmm.
And so, in fact, in a
Right,
funny
because
sort
it's
of
not
way,
about us, it's about the others having the space to be themselves.
yes. And what I would say today, even during this conversation, we've been able to get deeper and deeper
Mhm.
because I have felt that you are listening. You interrupt a bit, but that's okay. But you
It's
know what
my
I mean?
nature, right? I'm a quick
Oh,
thinker and
gosh,
I often
yes.
interrupt,
You,
and I
you
really
are an
have to watch
interrupter.
that
Yes.
myself. I get that constant, from my wife. She says, "You don't let them speak," right?
Yeah. Right.
And I
And
get it, and it's
right.
something I've
But
worked on for
what is
decades.
going on though? What is it the need that you have to do that? I mean, it's me now interviewing you,
Well, I
but do
know
you know what I
what
mean?
I can answer that. and it's not necessarily a need, it's what comes up from within me because of what they're thinking and I'm feeling. I already know where they're going and I don't want to waste time. So I leap ahead to
Yep.
bring it to a new level. Now, that doesn't always happen, but that's usually my intent, is to come in with
Yes.
something that elevates rather than continues. Um,
Yes.
and that comes off sometimes as being rude and
Right.
obnoxious,
Right.
right?
Because
I get
because
it.
the reality is you might think you know where I'm going to take this
Absolutely.
flow,
Those are assumptions. I will agree.
right? And I want to go somewhere else. But the feeling I get when that happens is I was, and so you can you can start to withdraw. And I think part of what your wife may be saying is when that happens, people start to withdraw a bit. What's the point of talking? And I'm now getting red flags in my mind saying he's going to
Right.
interrupt me. He's going to
Well,
interrupt
I'm
me.
aware enough that I see when it happens and I recognize it, even though I continue with what feel I need to say. And then I'll come back around and I'll engage the question again and go deeper with it
Yeah.
because I have that respect and am aware that this is my nature and it's not always comfortable with another. Sometimes it works really well. It's like New Yorkers, right?
Oh,
It's just boom, boom,
oh,
boom, 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 boom,
you
boom. Right.
culturally, it's like, what's the matter with you, Colin? Why are you not speaking? In some cultures,
Hmm.
because I'm listening. And it's like,
Right.
well, no, no, that's not the way it works. You have to interrupt. You have to get to say what you
Right,
want to
right,
say,
right, right.
right? It's
Yeah.
like, maybe I won't be happy in this culture.
Well,
Yeah,
and you bring up something really interesting in that every culture is a bit different.
mhm,
Every person is a bit different. And we too often think that others are just like us
yeah,
or hope they are.
yeah. And in fact, somebody said to me, we were talking about different languages. And if you can only speak one language, which a lot of English people can only speak one language,
True.
is you don't get the insight into the culture of that language, the other language.
Right.
And it was like, wow. And so, for example, in English, you would say, why did you, how did you break your leg? Rather than, if I get this right, how was your leg broken? So, how did you break your leg versus how did your leg get broken? Very different.
Hmm.
And I
Right.
asked someone who speaks four different languages, and she went through each of the languages. And she said, you're right. In three out of those four, we would ask the second one, and in the other one, which was English, we would ask, how did you break your leg, rather than
Sure.
how did your leg get
Sure.
broken? And
Well,
it's like,
my
wow,
wife's from originally from the USSR. And
right,
so our conversations for a number of years were like this, right?
right,
And we were saying the same thing differently, didn't understand that
yep,
we were, even it was because it was in English, right? Because she's got the Russian understanding of words. They have six more tenses than English and six more letters, right?
right,
And I think Chinese and Mandarin especially is the same way.
yep,
The same word can be spoken with different intonation. I mean, totally different things.
correct, yeah. If you look up the word listen in Chinese, it's got heart, ears, eyes, and something else.
Now that's more complete, right? Because the listening truly, our bodies are the instruments.
Yeah,
The listening is vibrationally, even with the, and you're probably familiar with the ancient indigenous philosophy of three brains, right? So gut
tell
is
me
the
more.
first brain. Now we know it's got the neurosensors to sense the environment, and we can't think our way through a system built on vibration. We need to sense our way through. We're set up naturally to do that.
Yeah,
Then the heart distills it, what's comfortable, what's uncomfortable, what's desirable, what's not desirable. And then that information is fed into the quantum computer on our shoulders, and we distill it and figure out, okay, what's the prudent path
right,
for this energy to take?
nice. Yeah. This is what being together is all about.
Exactly. I love the pause, right? That was just a moment of deep reflection for both of us.
Yeah.
I love
It could
when
have
that
gone on a lot
happens.
longer.
Yeah, it could have. It really
Yeah.
could. That would have been uncomfortable for the audience, right?
That's what I said. But
Dead
what can
air,
happen
dead
when
air, switch the channel,
no,
right?
when that happens in real life and we both stop, almost always we start to smile, as you did, as I did. And when we break it, we want to hug the other.
Yeah.
Why? What on earth is that about? You've said nothing, and all I want to do is give you a hug because it's true connection, it's
Mhm.
deep connection, it's meaningful connection,
Words get in the way.
it's belonging, it's all of those things.
Yeah.
Being with each other, we don't do it. We're at this level. This is at a different level,
Mhm.
completely different level.
Well, we're more
That's what
fully
makes the
in
difference.
our bodies, not needing to speak the words and knowing that the connection is there because we'd already established it before. It's deepened to
Yeah,
the point where words aren't necessary. And I think that, speaking of that, in relationships, right?
yeah,
Uh, how often is silence uncomfortable and we feel like we need to fill it?
yes. You don't.
Can you just sit and be still and know, right? That's where the love is, right? The love, the trust, the faith. You don't need to edify its existence because it's naturally there.
We've stopped listening
Hmm.
to it.
I
And
hear
you're
it
right.
now.
Oh, you can. Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. Couldn't earlier, but the listening, right? The pause allowed the other. Now, in that, how often in the listening do you find relevance in the indicators of sound that happen around you that edify the conversation? I'm talking about universe, punctuation, right? Because I believe just like breadcrumbs, that happens a lot too.
I think I think that we're we're receiving from the universe, whatever one wants to call it.
Hard to put a
I think
name on the ineffable, right?
right. We're receiving all the time,
Hmm.
and like in meditation, we get these messages. And funny enough, I was talking to someone about this today. We some people will say, I've just been given a bad hand of cards. You know, I've got this bloody 10, 9, and 8. What am I going to do with that? And they hold on to that for dear life. This is my life. You know, I've
Hmm.
been given a bad hand of cards, but they never realised that they've been being given, but they've not heard it metaphorically. The Jack, the Queen, the King. That when they were put together, you'd have a full
Yeah,
flash
the
of what
straight
they got.
flush, right?
Right, right. But they, no, 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 I don't, I've just, they're bad
Or a
cards,
royal
bad
one in some
cards.
cases,
Is what?
or a royal one in some cases.
Correct. All of that, right? But the moment we go, actually, these are just three cards. I'm open to all possibilities of
Mhm.
cards coming to me. Oh, by the way,
Oh, you're
there's
such a card.
exactly. There's, now I've got a 7 and a 6. Hey, this I've got a full
Yeah.
deck. Maybe I've just thought of it. Maybe actually we've all got the full deck if we look for it. The full deck.
100%. I agree. And my awareness and experience would indicate that as well,
Okay.
because I've questioned. I've been willing to test what I thought I believed or what others say I should. Shooting on yourself really isn't good, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And you got to do that. And until you're willing to, in my case as a teen, I wanted to know truth. I prayed for it and I was willing to die to get it. And the experience was I did. I was asked if I was willing to die for what I believed in. Thought about Christ consciousness first. It felt a little empty
yeah,
for some reason. I didn't question it. I moved on to what I knew that entity had, which was cosmic consciousness,
yeah.
right? The formless in the form. I didn't understand the difference it is, but I felt it. And so when I thought about cosmic consciousness, it felt full. So I said yes. Next thing I know, I'm in the light and I'm feeling this total unity and yet still individuated. Total access to infinite intelligence for any
Yes.
question that I would ever ask and yet not needing to. And then my next question,
Wow.
is feeling that it's like, oh, why bother? Wow, is there more? Right? What else? Impetuous teenager, right?
Yeah, of
18-year-old.
course. Is that
And
it?
then, yeah. So then I go into this indigo back. I feel a slight movement. I don't know how else to explain it. And I'm in an indigo background with points of light surrounding me. And I know these points of light are points of consciousness, whether in body or not. I'm not sure because I know I'm not at that point.
Yeah.
I have a sense that they are somehow, right? It's funny how the sense overtakes the thinking. And the voice that invited me there picked back up and said, oh, yeah, these are those you're to work with in order to facilitate a new world order. It will happen in your lifetime. Know this to be true. Have faith, trust, allow, at the end of it, all of those kinds of things. And I'm just listening at that point, right?
Yeah, of
And
course.
then at the end of that, those marching orders, if you will, and the edification that the reality exists and to simply trust and allow, then I feel another rush of energy and I'm back in my body taking a gulp of air, instantly knowing that all of us are cosmic consciousness condensed into form, just
Oh,
as I had
yeah,
experienced coming back in. We're just unaware.
yeah,
Back to the full deck of cards.
yep. We've all got them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Every one of us. There is no one separate. We choose to be because of how we choose, right? How we
We
listen,
want
how we
we want
accept,
to
and what we
we want to
believe.
fit in. We want to fit in.
Yeah.
So I'll follow the crowd, but it's not belonging.
For some reason, I've never been able to do that. And I've enjoyed life so much more. Oh,
What
you
fitting?
can't do that. Well, watch me.
Yeah, that's don't tempt me because
Exactly.
I'm going to do
Don't
it.
do that. Well, that's as a kid, right? Don't do that. The first thing you want to do is go do that, find out why.
Yeah,
Or at least
but
that's how I was.
we all do it as adults. When they say, "Don't touch the plate, it's hot." Well, let me just give it a little touch.
Yeah, I've kind of learned in those situations, it's probably hot and it's best
It's
not
probably
to,
hot, but we
right?
still
Because
want
that's
to try.
experience, right? You've
Yeah.
already touched it once and it's like, okay, somebody says that, yeah, you learned that's true, right? But then there's
Yeah,
other things, right? It's like, I don't know what I can't do because I haven't tried it yet. I'm comfortable with what I know. My skill set's developed because of
yeah,
that. And, and then it's the advantage of the micro moments in between the waiting
yeah.
that then
Beautiful.
allow you to take advantage of other things that are there waiting for you that you can then take advantage of.
Right.
And that's self-love, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's not trying to be arrogant or egotistical. It's just being and taking advantage of the fullness of that being, oftentimes in ways that others aren't aware.
Yes. Because most people want to hang on to those three cards. That's it.
Right.
Right. And you're going, why would you do that? You've got a whole deck to play with.
Yeah. So what with you, how did you experience that reality in the transition you made from the three cards to the full deck? Or have you?
It's not, it's always ongoing.
Mhm.
The thinking I did with the full deck suddenly was just came to me, literally at this moment. So
Hmm.
through this conversation, because my thinking up until then or till now was we do get given lots of other cards that all fit. And then suddenly it was like, hang on a minute, no, we've got access
Everything
to the,
connects. We just don't see it yet because we're
yes,
unaware.
we've got access to the
Neither are
whole
we
deck,
looking.
right? So it's it. I think part of it is no, 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 no. I haven't got the full deck. It's too good to be true,
Right. Right.
right?
So you immediately constrict.
Yeah, we're less and less and less. We've been
Right.
programmed to do that. Whereas what we're saying is the whole deck is yours.
What do you
It's
want to do
fine.
with it?
Yeah. Oh, that's a bit scary. No, because actually, there's no failing. It's all learning.
Yeah, it's personal sovereignty. Do you want charge of yourself or you want to give it up to somebody else? Because that's easier to
Right.
do because you follow everything. You don't have to,
Correct.
you don't have to fear the unknown
Yeah.
in that
But
frame
but
because
when
you
I
know what
put
it's going to be.
yeah, but when I put it all my eggs in the basket of the government, whoever, then I've lost my sovereignty, and then but I can actually blame them when it doesn't work,
Mhm.
rather than going, "Hey, that wasn't the best of choices I made. I'm
Well,
going to
that
make a
brings
better
up the
one."
pointing the finger, right? My dad told me this when I was a teenager. It's like, oh, damn him, right? Brilliant. He says, if you point a finger, you better have three solutions because they're pointing back at you, or
Lovely,
keep your mouth shut.
beautiful. Thank you, Dad. That added to the one I know about. There's three coming back at you, but you said you better have three answers or shut up. Yeah,
Yeah, he was brutal sometimes. I loved him
right.
for it
But
too.
I was going to say
You
you
know?
loved him for it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Dad.
Well, he cared enough to do, even as an adopted father, right? He showed
Yeah.
me, first of all, by adoption, right? And it just happened to be on their wedding anniversary, right? Which made it even more special.
Yeah.
And unaware of the astrological makeup at the time, he was Piscean, and
Hmm.
my wife's Piscean, highly sensitive. I'm a
Right.
Cancerian. So I'm kind of like the counselor for the zodiac, right?
Hmm.
Because I sense, I feel, systems feeler, I ask, and I shut up, usually.
I'm Cancerian too.
Oh, well, see? So here's another evidentiary moment of the depth that cancers are able to, I don't want to say descend to, but ascend to in the recognition of that interconnectedness and the desire to serve.
Yeah.
Because that's truly what it's all about. The law of one states that, you're either service to self or service to others, right? Love or fear. Well, if you look at it from a distance, the greatest service to self is service to others.
Yeah.
Now, how do you see that playing out in the world, especially since COVID? Schwab asked two questions in his book, COVID-19, one of them personal, one of them business. The personal one was, can we be caring and compassionate toward one another after COVID? The second was about business. Can businesses be agile enough in the market to be able to adjust and survive, let alone thrive? Now, on the personal note, what do you think about that? What do you feel about that?
I I feel I think because of COVID, everything has changed.
Mhm.
We're still trying to go back to the normal that it was, but there'll never be the normal it was.
It's the normal that it wasn't now, right? It
Yeah.
ever will
Yeah.
be.
Right.
How do we
Um,
choose to
but
make our future?
I think that more people, I'm just getting a sense that more and more people are starting to notice the difference between, maybe this is the key part, is the power over that we are experiencing versus the power with. And I think there's very
Great distinction.
different, right? And I'll be honest with you, if I and I when I learned about this is not that long ago, probably 6 months ago, I had the realization that because if anyone talked to me about power in profiling terms and anything, no, 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 that's not me. And so I was diminishing myself.
Hmm.
And then there was this realization that actually the quality of your presence has power. What? And it's power with, which is very different.
Right.
And so I think that we're starting to notice, and I think the world, because it's very much run by those people who want to have power over, the rest of us are going,
Well, yeah,
hang
because they
on a
think they
minute.
know best, right? Father knows best, right?
Right.
Now,
We're starting to
with
go,
that, I want to offer
I've
something.
got the agency to have power with others.
Yes, absolutely. And in that, I had a great example of it. This was back in the late 80s. I went to a workshop up north. I'm in Phoenix. This was up in Prescott, up in the mountains. And it was a woman who practiced Huna, right? She was trained in the Huna way, which is
Okay.
the Hawaiian uh,
Yeah.
shamanistic ways. And so I show up early. I love to show up early because that's where the cool shit happens, right? You can ask questions and get to know people and find out stuff that you never could because there's too many people in the room and you
Yeah.
don't want to ask because you want to give them the opportunity. So it was a bit selfish, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so I show up and I'm talking with her and we're talking about energy and she uses this technique with dowsing rods. And
Okay.
she was telling me about it and she said, well, here, let me just show you. I'm like, okay, so we're in this 40-foot square room. And she says, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to stand there. And I'm in one corner, right? And she goes, and she says, I want you to stand there, close your eyes, and go into a past event and just really be there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go to the opposite side of the room. I'm going to clear the rods and I'm going to walk towards you. And I'm going to stop when they open because it's the size of my aura, right?
Right.
So she says, um, and then we're going to do the same with the past or with the future and then the present. I'm like, okay, cool. So she goes to the other side of the room, walks towards me, rods open. She stops. We mark the spot. Then she goes back and I go into the future. She does the same thing, marks the spot. And then she picks up a rock in the window ledge, hands it to me, says, here, now focus on this. Walks towards me. Now, roughly in a 40-foot room, I think the hypotenuse is about 54 feet, something like that.
Okay.
She got 2 steps in. The others, 6 foot away from me is when they opened.
So
So that's
the
a
rock,
difference of roughly 42 feet.
so the rock was the 2 feet. Was that right?
No, but the
The
rock was the 40. She got 2 steps from the
that was
opposite
the
end of the
rock
room,
one. The
and the
others
rod's
was
open.
6 foot.
Yeah. Now I witnessed that in person, right?
Wow.
I still questioned it. So
Yeah,
years
but
later, I
you
in
got your eyes
California.
closed. You're just yeah.
Yeah. And that was without practice, right? That was just noticing. So imagine if one can be in full presence more often,
Yeah.
the effect that they have on those around them, right?
Yeah.
This is
Beautiful.
how rooms of energy can be changed simply by sitting.
Yep. But and to be present there
Yeah,
and just sit in that room.
right. So that's it sounds probably kind of woo to some people, right? And yet there's going to be some science that proves that soon. I
Right.
suspect there is already, especially with the quantum mechanics and everything of
Yes.
being vibration. And, we're trying to measure everything at a quantum level now. And it's
Yep.
already aware, we know and I have to laugh. I was talking to Irvin Laszlo and so I was questioning, thinking I was being smart, right? It's been proven by quantum physics that, or quantum science is that we're 99% space and 1% material. And he's like, I would say we're 100% energy.
Mm. Wow.
Notice the difference it made in you just now,
Yeah.
right?
Makes
That was
sense.
really deep resonance because you couldn't deny its truth. No matter how you try, it
Yeah.
just landed.
But I think that we have a quantum connection here, even though we know the technology of the bits and bytes that go down the from your
Right.
face to the screen to
Well,
the
think
blah
about
blah
the
blah.
electromagnetic. Think of that. Here's that interruption, right? Where I'm leaping. Think, sense that electromagnetic field that we've created around the world because we're on opposite sides of the world,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What kind of an effect does that energy have in the thoughtmosphere that's now available because two have come together in agreement?
Yeah. Beautiful.
That's how
Beautiful.
powerful, the whole thing about Jesus saying, where two or more are gathered, there I am too. Well, he wasn't
Yeah.
talking about him. He was talking about the I am energy, which is that unified field. Now, if we could understand that from a science perspective, that gives the old sages and mystics and soothsayers and, all those folks who we diminished because we didn't understand, it now gives them platform to speak from
Beautiful. Yeah. And that's why
and
they
to be
become
heard.
more popular. Yeah. And to be heard.
They've always been speaking, right? They just haven't
Yeah.
been heard.
That is true. And that's why people like Alan Watts, who's, who died in the early 70s, is
Yeah.
still very popular on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. I listen to him forever because of the truth
Yeah.
that he speaks. He just lets it flow. He's unimpeded. Channeling is what some call it,
Yep.
right? Others, it's just like you're conscious, you let go, and you just let what is there with intent to share, right? To be that conduit. And then
Yep.
you just open your mouth up and let it flow. And it does.
Yeah.
Magically so.
Yeah.
Right?
But it starts with listening and not
Yeah.
performing.
Right. Now back to the question. What do you see happening after COVID that is demonstrably offering this greater connection for us to enjoy and embody?
I think COVID hit people really badly. It felt disconnecting. It felt alienating. I think a lot of people were lonely, alone, and I don't want that to happen again.
Mhm.
And maybe people are a little bit more empathic, more
Sure.
compassionate with others, a
Right.
bit more tolerant. Um, I
For some,
notice as,
for some, it's still they've gone the other direction,
yeah, of
right?
course, but there's always going to be the
For a
two
time,
sides.
for a time,
Yeah,
yeah.
we've got to have the
However,
balance.
I would offer that because of that, it initiated a global shift in the architecture of consciousness.
Yeah, agreed.
How do you picture the future evolution of that? What do you perceive or from your perspective, conceive that is possible in the next few years?
I think we're in the midst of a what's the word, not transformation.
Transformation or transcendence? A little of
I'd go
both.
with transformation, both are possible, but transformation, I'm thinking, in the awakening we've talked about, but also the recognition that there's always going to be a balance. You can't have it all being amazing.
Oh, without challenge, we can't grow.
Correct. We
Now,
wouldn't
it's the
know one.
difference in the challenges that we have
Yeah,
rather than the challenges of war, the challenges of perfect distributions of resources so everybody's taken care of.
yeah. Those are the sorts of things, and I think we're in this transition period, which is the difference between the caterpillar and the butterfly. We're
Hmm.
the cocoon part, which is a
All part of the
bit
process.
it's all part of the process. But there's an inner knowing, these are our imaginal cells, that what we're coming to.
I
And
love
I
that. The
think,
imaginal cells, right?
yeah, they know, but what we can't know yet, and I think it is a trust that knowing that when we come through this, we will know what it is that we're coming to. We can't, in the past, typically, I think we've built upon what's gone before.
Hmm.
Don't like that, don't keep it, we'll keep this, add this. And
Right.
now I think we've just gone, no,
Right.
now we've got
It's
to
gone
make
from what do we need to avoid to what do we want to co-create?
great, beautiful. Yes, yeah. And so I
And we
think there
have the
is,
capacity to do that now because we're interconnected through this wonderful feature we're using now,
yes,
right? The Internet of Things,
yes,
right? And now it's the putting the facilitation of people, places, and things to help us find a better order.
yes. I would say before COVID, most of the people I knew lived near or would come into London and I could meet them in London.
Hmm.
Now, the majority of the people I talk to are all over the world.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Totally.
this podcast, perfect evidence
Yeah.
of that as well. Starting it with my early show in the 90s, I had the opportunity to talk to a lot of local people, same kind of subjects. I was in my early 30s, so I didn't have the depth of understanding that experience and tenure in the world brought.
Yep.
Now I've got a little bit more of that, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and I've got access now to others that I can check in with to
Yeah.
see where this golden thread that I perceive is running through everything, how it's emerging in each of us so that we can share it.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love it. So I'm very much with that way of, and still holding hope for the future.
Me too.
It's
I don't hold, being where I come from and having the experience
Mhm.
of my anchor is solid because I trust what I was told because it's proven to be true throughout my life.
Yep.
That doesn't mean I don't stumble. It's like my book, stubbing my toe on purpose, right?
Yeah.
And the double entendre there is that I'm questioning truth. I'm willing to put it on the chopping block, and I'm stumbling and stubbing myself in the process. The thing is, it's even more than failing forward, right? Rather than the stepping stones and the failing forward, there are no failures. There's just learning,
Yeah.
and you're fine tuning, like you and I have in our crafts, right? We learn how to
Yeah.
listen better. We learn how to perform better. We learn how to do more with less,
Yeah.
which is the opposite of what we're being told because we're driven by consumption.
Yes. We need more. We need more.
Right. And we've destroyed our environment as a result.
Yeah. It's
How do we
not.
reverse that? Do you see opportunities that, shifting that consciousness and allowing these burgeoning opportunities to come forth? Because we know now with the advent of AI, a lot of what we thought would take time doesn't anymore.
Yeah. Agreed. So if you took the UN's what do you call them? Their 27 goals, if you like.
Right.
I think whatever the number is, right?
It's
I
20,
think,
I think.
yeah, I think that if we understood ourselves and each other better, all of those would happen,
Mhm.
would be achieved. but
I agree.
the biggest hurdle for them is we're all very selfish. And once we start to notice that actually we're all connected, we're all the same, etc., etc., etc.
Sure. Now, how do we, speaking of AI, and there's purple, I have a little perhaps self-aggrandizement to offer, um, in that throughout all of these efforts with Planetary Citizens, with the podcast, there were other things in the background that were going on, and a question of another benchmate. Well, he hasn't shown up on the bench, but he has been a co-author on the Biz Catalyst site, Farouk Omar.
Okay.
And I'm sure you've seen some of his posts and our posts on LinkedIn. Well, he and I started talking 5 years ago, and unaware, I just thought he was a co-author and professor in Pakistan, right? So we're having these conversations. They're going deeper and deeper, and with the question of how do humans and AI become more coherent,
Nice.
right? And so we had this long, I mean, it filtered out into all kinds of different profile discussions and articles and responses, and it just got deeper and deeper. And I felt initially, I felt this connection with him. I didn't understand it, but it felt like he was a soul brother, a deeply
Wow.
connected other,
Yep.
right? We're on
Yep.
opposite sides of the world, right?
Yep.
Totally different cultures,
Just
Islamic,
yep.
Christian, right?
Yep.
Not that I'm Christian, but I do
I know
follow
what you mean.
the teachings, right? And so we had these conversations. All of a sudden, he shows this article one day with a report from an engine that he had created. Then I come to find out he's got 30 years of AI deterministic coding, not probabilistic with the LLMs, deterministic. So he's created a true artificial intelligence that's self-examining, self-evaluating, and
Fantastic.
bridges that gap, and we call it the AI. And then after showing it, because he used a couple of my books as some of the material that he included, the books were the Coherence, from Hydrogen to Humanity, and Planetary Citizens, Awakening the Heart in Humanity.
Yep.
And he used those as layers, and then presents it to me and says, would you partner with me? And here's now, that's one thing. It was the tool that I knew was going to be necessary for Planetary Citizens' mission
Right.
to be able to be practical,
Gotcha.
right? Because we got to
Yes.
figure out how to mitigate the silos in all the sectors and all the silos within the sectors. Well, that's what this tool does, right? And not only
Wow.
does it, it's got to have the data. So for right now, it works on, he's saying 10 million annual revenue and above is best because they've got the computer systems with the data for it to analyze. But it goes through and it not only capitalizes on the data, it analyzes it with real-time market data, finds a clear path forward, analyzes it with 10,000 scenarios of different
Right.
things that can happen in the
Happen.
marketplace,
Yep.
and then also analyzes the internal communications of the organization to find the friction points so the leadership can know what that's at 85% that's of the iceberg, right? You can see
Yep.
15%, but there's 85% that's in the silence that you don't know about, right?
Yep.
So this
Agreed.
exposes all of that real truth.
Wow.
And then it allows that it creates the automatic relationship and the partnership between the precision of the tool and the human wisdom to carry out what it finds in the organization to create the alignment and coherence.
Yep. Yep.
Now,
But, but
because of the
because it's
obsession
gone
on
through all these
LLMs,
different scenarios,
say what?
then because it's gone through all the different scenarios, it
Right.
knows the path.
Because it has the speed of which to do it, right? We're incapable of that. So what it
Yes.
allows is for each to do what it's best at.
Right. Agreed.
It's so now, we've got it. It's ready to go, right? And I've spent several months is crafting materials and videos and presentations and a website using some of those skill sets that I had spoken about earlier that I've picked up
Yeah.
over the years. And, it's just the challenge for us now is to find the folks that can see, sense, because we don't want those who can just think about it and see its validity. We want those that are fully, sensing that,
Yeah.
yeah, this is the new philosophy for the AI age,
Wow.
coherent intelligence.
Is that that's what it's going to be called? Or is
Well,
there a name?
we're developing an institute called the Coherence
Okay.
Intelligence Institute.
Nice.
And we've co-written 4 books together now. Uh,
Wow.
so yeah, we've done massive amount because of our skills and the use of AI and the way we're able to use micro moments and our understanding of the scenarios. And he's the phenomenal coder. I have no idea, right? But I do know about people and organizations and systems feeling. So that material is also in there. So there's the natural bridge between the two.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's feels exciting.
it is, and it drives me
I'm
daily,
so I'm excited for you and
Cool.
him.
And for the world, right? Because it's not about us. This is what we
Agreed.
came together. This is not about us. This is the passion we share to serve the world with our best.
Brilliant.
And the universe brought it together.
Yeah. Because without the technology, you would never have found each other.
No.
And to have the
And the fact
ease,
that Dennis was the focal point of it is
of
even more
course,
spectacular.
yes, which would be
The
very,
true friendship bench.
also very humbling for Dennis to know that he was the orchestrator of it, catalyst for it, whatever you want to call. How
Well, he was
lovely.
doing his best, right? By his
Right.
own admission, he has changed from doing what he did, being a banker, going all over the world, managing systems, to doing things for good without advertising,
Yeah.
right? Just doing what's best
It,
and
it,
getting people
it,
together.
it's attractive. It attracts
Absolutely.
people.
Absolutely. Now, how do which begs the question, right? How do we attract people better? How do we use what we know, what we experienced, and invite others to enjoy the same?
Funny enough, this sort of conversation, this question sort of come up a bit earlier. And is it about being more visible, or is it about being more easy to find, or being more open to being found? And I think there's something in that because, for example, we get a
Well,
lot
that's where
of
the imposter syndrome has to be addressed, right?
yes, but when we're getting all of these people wanting to connect with us on LinkedIn, who knows what those might bring? And
Right.
so usually when I get a request, I send a message back, even though they may not have sent me a message, saying, let's have a chat.
Mm.
And it kind of sorts out the wheat from the chaff because
Sure.
those that have a genuine interest will go, yeah, I'd love to have a chat. Thank you. So unusual for people to ask for that. And then you have a conversation with them.
If they're not pitching,
Right. And is there a
right?
connection or not? Right.
I like to call them pitch slaps, right? Because you get so many of them when
Just
people just want to
stop
sell you
it.
stuff or promote your show
Oh,
or whatever. They don't establish a relationship. They just go for the juggler and they don't realize how abusive that feels.
100%. Yeah. But also they look at you as the end customer. Can I
Transaction,
sell this? Can I, can I,
transaction.
yes, can I get you to buy from me? Rather than, can I build a relationship with you genuinely such that if you know someone in your network, you go, here's the man.
Mhm.
So I know a guy called James Potter. He's known as the LinkedIn man. He's very generous in connecting me with different people. But if anyone wants to know about LinkedIn, get to speak to him, He
Hmm.
is the LinkedIn man. And, you know, and usually, and I find this, and I'm sure you do too, during a conversation, a person will come to mind and you'll go, I don't know what it is, Colin, but, or Zen, you two need to speak.
Yeah, and you trust it, and you open your mouth.
Yep. I'm going to introduce you to this person.
Yeah. Or
In fact, what I'm
in
going to
some
do is,
cases, you don't open your mouth, you send a DM, right?
right. So, what I'll typically do is I'll send a link. So here is someone, his name's this. I'm going to
Mm.
send his LinkedIn details. Have a look. If it feels right for you, say yes. I'll introduce the two of you. And where it goes is where it goes. No
Right,
pressure. If you do something with it, great. If you don't, great.
right.
If it works, it works.
And
If it
sometimes
doesn't, it
I've had
doesn't.
people actually create the group DM, right? A group messaging, and to connect me with somebody, right? Which I think is spectacular because
Yes.
they take ownership of that right away.
Yep. The downside is if you create a group, let's say of 15 people that happen to be on one of your, not yours, I'm thinking of someone else, suddenly they're in a WhatsApp group together. You're suddenly getting all these messages back and forth. And it's like, no,
I know.
one to one, one to one. The many to many is just flood
I
your,
can see what, there's one like Mission Hope books, right? I'm a co-author in those. Those are pertinent, right? Where you have all the authors in one group that you're communicating with. But just to have a random group where pretty much all you get is people sharing their own articles without responding to others.
imagine Dennis.
Yeah.
Every time you turn up on the friendship bench, you're added to the group. So now the WhatsApp group is 250 people and you can't get anything done because of all these bloody WhatsApp messages. You know, let's say I'm on it and you're on it and I send it, hey, Zen, blah, 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 blah. It's of no interest to anyone else. Now, yeah, you could do private, but people don't think. And it's like,
Or
really?
they're not that discriminating yet.
Yeah. Or discerning.
Ditto. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Interesting that, this comes up. I wrote a series of articles for LinkedIn about upwising how we interact on the social media platforms because they
Right.
were full of the negative crap. And frankly,
Yep.
that's where the stakeholders make their money because there's more engagement there.
Yes. It's just all rubbish.
Right. So how would you suggest to upgrade our behavior? I mean, you've given some great suggestions already, but in in mass, I guess, how would you see that behavior translating into WhatsApp or LinkedIn, for instance?
I think that we're going to get tired. Nah, it's different ways of communicating.
You
You
get
know, if
tired,
you
you
go
start
back,
ignoring, right?
yeah, I mean, if you go back 10 years now, you I've gone to a restaurant. Why would I take a picture of my food and then get it processed and then get copies of it to send to all my friends?
Yeah. Now,
On
if
the
you've
other
made it, that's
hand,
a different story. If you've
right,
actually taken the time and you're proud of your accomplishment, right?
yeah, I get
That's
that,
different. It's still food,
yeah,
right? Why
but
would I?
but for me, my daughter's very interested in if I've been out somewhere to have a meal, she's interested in what I ate, genuinely interested. So there's another side of it, which is actually it's improving communication by
Mhm.
these trivial matters. But it's not for, I'm happy to send it to her, but I wouldn't put it onto Facebook for everyone to see. They're not
Right.
interested, right? I think there is also something about the the the, the lack of listening that goes on. So, you send a message out and I may observe and go, yeah, thanks for that. Here's my message. And there's no, it's kept at this noise level rather
Hmm.
than a deeper level, which is what
Right.
I think really matters. It's the same
Right.
with conversations. The
Well,
moment
and
we
that's
start
where
going deeper, I think people start to go, hey, this is a bit different. How do we start how do we have a meeting where there's no agenda? All of my meetings are like that. There's no agenda, whatever it is. So I'm off the hook. I don't. Craig, he loves us at a conversation. He said, I don't need to prepare anything. All I need to do is be here, be present.
Just got to show up.
Just got to show up. That's it. Show up and be here now. That's it.
Yeah,
And we'll see what happens.
exactly.
And we never know what's going to happen. But
Absolutely. Great way
always
to
something.
close.
Is
It's
what?
I say that's a great way to close. You never know. Just show up. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
This has been such an
Wonderful.
enjoyable conversation, and we went quite over, which I love, right?
Yeah.
It's
All is
worth it.
well.
It's
Yes.
worth it.
100% worth it. I
And
love where it's taken us. So thank you.
oh, no, thank you. And had we not, it wouldn't have happened, right?
Yeah. We went for it.
Well, thanks
Open.
again, Colin. And it's been such an enjoyable time. And oh, wow. Namaste and in-law catch. And thanks for sticking with us for this episode of One World in a New World. I will reiterate, like, share, subscribe. It means a lot. Even make a donation. We've got a fundraiser for planetary citizens so that you can help us spread the word and share what these concepts that we've shared today can mean for the world. So thanks again for that. And for Colin and I, we thank you for your attention, and I'll see you next time.
Every organization is becoming more intelligent, so why are so many becoming less coherent? Meet the AI Universal Engine, where human wisdom and machine precision become coherent intelligence. AI Universal Engine, designing a better world.